Hi, so this is my explanation for this level, Wario's Trolled Mine, and people probably know that this level got deleted, which I totally expected, because at this point, basically every level has to be coordinated upload, and I decided to upload this just until it inevitably got deleted, and it took 2 days, so that's good, and it's not even that heavy on glitches, so, you know, fun times for everyone. Let's get in the level. So this first little thing, I just have a hidden block detector up here. And the reason this beetle doesn't fall is just because it's on a sloped conveyor like that. They just don't fall if you're standing next to them. The reason it does fall later is because of this down here. So a launcher sitting on a blue platform is lower than just ground or bridge. And there's a red block hidden under the middle bit of it, so like only after you get the switch does it land on the platform, and then yeah. This setup you can just see every part of it. There's one ways to cover a semi-solid under that, and I just needed a way to give the player a bone shell here for this next troll, which is also you can see everything here, like there's not even something like hidden behind something else here, it's just that. This setup's pretty fun. So, got the thing is this beetle here. I have to have you come in from below, like go in under it and then come up and around so that this guy can be spinning on the conveyor by the time you get there. And then I have this bone shell hidden off screen, so it's like you grab the bone shell, break it on that, and then get the backup one from this block and kill it on the wiggler, so you get 2 chances. But like the way this is hidden off screen, has a parachute and it's on that block, so the spike ball hits the block and boops it up, and then this winged bomb just flies over and destroys those. So that's a way to get this off the top of the screen without any visible setup. And then when you hit these blocks, they kind of go down a bit and get broken by the shell. So that's how you get that. Thing about this section, it used to be set up like that. I eventually changed it because people kept looking at it and being like, oh, is that a hint? Does the beetle have the key? No, it doesn't. Who would ever do that? That sucks. So I set it up like this to make it look less like a hint, which is fun. And the key door leads over to here. That's a mushroom platform, and this is just a swamp with the blue circle. This setup has been a lot of fun to do revision. So good. So basically, originally the core troll idea I had here was like, I noticed that if you did a pretty specific jump, you could break the shell on the bomb even though it's behind these blocks, because you like clip into the corner here. And then, but no one fell for it. I tried a different version, no one fell for it. Then I eventually went to having a claw, and the claw makes you swing into the corner in such a way that it automatically does the breaking tech, which is pretty good, except that apparently getting past a claw is a nightmare for most players. So pro tip, if you want to do this, you just do that. The thing is, what a lot of people would do is they'd like get in the claw, right? And you're like, oh, I want to go back. But then the claw grabs it again because you went back. And you go back. So like going back actually makes, like if you just stay in front of the claw, it won't grab again because you're still in front of it. But if you go back over here, then it can grab again, and it just infinite sadness. And here's some more sadness. So like the troll here is that this shoots a chain chomp and then it comes up to the left, because I could stand here and try to wait for it, and it does yeah. And that's because it's sitting on the spiny, which is lower, and it also requires this little gap in the ground where the skull is. If I fill that in, it'll do kind of more what you expect. But the thing is, cannon timing is a thing that exists, so like there's always the chance that you'll run off this edge and it'll just shoot you and you just die to it. That's great. And even better is that since people didn't find a consistent way to get past this, it meant that they didn't have consistent timing coming into this troll, which means that some of the time they just get hit by a chain jump and die, so that's pretty epic. Oh yeah, and there's a block here with the fire flower you can't get. Not everyone found that. This thing, this is a good troll. I like this. So the reason the POW doesn't even come out of the note block, the spring does. And the reason it comes out of a note block is not to save entities, it's because if I just place it here, it layers wrong. But if it spawns out of the block, then it works, which is kind of interesting. So, oh yeah, and that wasn't suspicious because it's kind of like, oh yeah, it looks like one of those sprite saving setups where the thing comes out of the thing, but that's not what it is at all. It's for the tech. Oh yeah, and I never ran out of entities in this level, like ever, which is honestly surprising considering how it's built. And then this swamp, I had to use something that's floating in the air, like a thwomp, so that you had to throw the POW directly at it, because if you fall for this troll, you can do that. And I can't have that be a valid solution, because then that kind of defeats the whole point of a troll. Come in here. So this, oh look, you required the spring, and then there's this buncher, and this thing comes up. And then this troll, this one's fun. So good. So you come down here, and you're like, what? So, yeah, the way people fell for this is you come down here and you're like, what the heck? Why is there a switch? What is that? What does any of this mean? Why would I hit that P-switch? Get wrecked. But that wasn't really the idea here. So the idea is that if you notice, which no one did, so why would you, that you can set the switch state to whatever you want after this troll. Like, you could just hit this again and put it on blue. So I thought, well, I want to use this kind of a setup in such a way that you could come in with either switch state and it does something different. So if you have the switch in blue and you come over here, so you can't get in the pipe, and it would have the little hint switch, and it's like, oh, you needed to hit the switch again, you idiot. And then it flips when you hit the P-switch, and it's like, oh, you could have survived if you just didn't fall in the hole. But no one saw that layer. And also, this was kind of inspired by Tutadic's snow level, where he had you kill yourself by hitting a P-switch like this, and I was like, oh, it would be funny if you hit the P-switch and then you fall in the pit, but you had a chance to survive. Oh, wait. Maybe show the actual setup for that. It's pretty simple though. It's just like a bomb over a P block and then this. And then this bumper to push you into the hole again. We have the checkpoint room with the fun Carl Toxic pixel art. I'm proud of that pixel art. So this spike was added in one of the last versions of the level. It doesn't actually do anything other than, like, I guess scare you into going back up into the pipe if you want to, you know, and then you die to the bumper. And if you just stand here, you survive. But other fun fact, I recently found out that if you actually manage to like spin jump just before the P-switch runs out, you actually, this guy puts out a spike ball and you actually die, which is, that's good. I like that. Okay, this section. So CP1 to CP2 is the big Shelmet section. And I basically built the entire Shelmet section like all at once a while before I actually started the level. So it all fits together really nicely. So this first thing is kind of just like Lamau garbage. You get hit by a shell and you die. Amazing troll. That's literally just because I wanted a way to give the player a Shelmet in such a way that they could either wear it or hold it. And then I have this thing to encourage you to put it on. And there's this setup, and this is important for this entire section. And it's basically an entity limit setup. So the thing is with a shell, if I'm holding this right now, this shell, just gonna, if I'm holding this shell, it counts as a sprite, right? Because I'm holding it, I can throw it around and do stuff. Then I wear it, and now it's not a sprite because there's no Shelmet sprite. There is Toad wearing a Shelmet as a thing that exists. That's where this comes in. If the entity limit is empty, Muncher comes out, do this, blow up, hit the switch. And I also have this Muncher and these snake blocks just kind of sitting there. Those are to fill up the entity limit in this specific spot, because like usually you do something that's actually smart, but I didn't need to. No, so we got our one whiz for that. This is, I think, my first, it's definitely my first solo level to use sprite limit, and one of my first levels to like really do anything with it at all. So alright, so you get your shell, and we get to this. This is a pretty interesting setup. So this is where there's two seesaws when there should be one. I'm gonna pull that out. So first thing, the first time you come in here, right, you would be wearing the shell. You come in here and you're like, alright, Thwomp's gonna come down, hit that seesaw, push this up. Actually, people just kind of stood up, like, trigger the Thwomp and then stand over here to the right, and then they get dead because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people fall for the first layer of this. It's weird. And then, so this Thwomp here doesn't actually do anything at all. It's pointless. There's this semi-solid under there, so it doesn't hit this seesaw. It's activated by this Thwomp. And when you come to the left, it triggers this Thwomp, which allows this 1-up to come out, go down here, hit this, which flips a switch and hits a POW if it's in red state when you come in. And then in the other state, this big Thwomp will be spawned instead of that one. And then we have the second seesaw, comes up and goes into place and does the thing. Cheat. Okay. Let's show from here. And I broke the scroll stop so you can see. I'm gonna put that on, do that. Oh yeah, that's something else interesting. Notice that that switch didn't flip until the Muncher fell off the bottom of the screen. That's because the dying Muncher still counts as a sprite for some reason, which is really annoying. So I had to put like extra delay before you get to the pipe. Alright, look. That Thwomp falls into place. I'm gonna come over here. So it's this one, it's the left one that actually hits the seesaw. Bad. yeah, these blocks are like to encourage you to not to put it on, because putting it on in this spot would actually kind of be a problem. More to just make you think you were correct for putting it on. But they're just turn blocks. Alright. Now look, now the big thwomp is there. That switches, and he hits the track seesaw. So that's that. Interesting things here. This thwomp gets spawn blocked by this blue switch block, which is weird because the blue switch block isn't actually behind the thwomp like at all. And even better, when this, like, if it's not solid and then it switches to be solid, it won't even kill the thwomp. You could see that. So like the fact that it despawns despite not actually being in front of it is usually really annoying, but in this exact situation it's kind of helpful. And also broken tracks. Those are cool, right? Everyone likes broken tracks. So that exists. You can see what it does. The seesaw has to come in order for that seesaw to stay hidden as it gets into place. It has to come in a straight line, but then it has to be stuck here on this track, and the only way to do that is with broken tracks. So that's fun. Broken tracks without teleporting. Yeah, and the POW is to kill that muncher the other time. This thing was added later. This is a kind of interesting troll. So if you stand on this launcher and throw the shellmet left, it'll break. So I have this blue platform to make you go down there, and you have to jump out. And also, like, this entire setup right here, like this one way, there's even a one way down there, and random turn block in the wall, and this, it all just exists for the second layer. And the first time you get to it and you're like, what the heck is this? And then you see this thing. Oh yeah, and this entire section with like the piranha and the block and the thing was a replacement for what was in the original version of the level, which sucked. And I'll show that later if I remember. So this is a recurring setup throughout the section. So I wanted to introduce it to the player. It'd be like, yeah, so this means you need the shellmet, right? To throw it up into that block and drop the cannon. So, but on the first one, it's not super intuitive what it means, and you just, like the shellmet was back in the pipe, and you just got through all of this and saw some random stuff here. I have to give you a hint as to what you need. And so you see throw indicator here, box with shellmet there. At one point I actually had it like this, with the throw indicator around the actual shellmet, which was kind of fine, but it had an interesting effect where, like, see, I thought people knew that if you jump into a Kaizo block behind a muncher, it will kill the muncher, because that's been used in a lot of levels. But I guess because I put the shell here, people were like, oh, I can't jump into that without the shell. Clearly I can't have gotten past here while holding it. And then once they saw the hint, they were like, oh, you can do it if you do that. And that works, but it's more annoying, and I didn't want people doing it. And so I was like, so I decided to put the throw indicator in the actual place where you need to throw instead of like around here. This like weird things about using hints. So the nice happy cloud. So here's another one of the muncher setups. And this time I just kind of just normal sprite usage here. That's pretty good. I love that. This thing is like a twice. So if you get to here, throw it up, put it on, this won't spawn. The fire flower doesn't come out. That's just because this is a switch conveyor and it sets the beetle away. It's pretty simple. Oh yeah, and this mushroom was originally a P-switch and it sucked for multiple reasons, but then I was like, oh wait, I don't need to have a piece with tiered all, just put a mushroom, you idiot. And then now it's been good. Right, this room. And this is where you come back, you see this, and you're like, oh, I needed to carry the shelmet with no hints required. That's pretty cool level design. And then, so, and there's another muncher set up above it. And this whole deal, so there's a lot going on with this stuff here. These one ways existing is kind of distracting, but right, so what's going on with this whole thing here? So first is thwomp, bomb, blow up that block. Now, thing to point out about this is that if I'm holding a shell and I just run up there, it doesn't kill it. It does not hit the shell. And that's important. Next, for this other troll to work, the pipe has to be downwards, right? Now, if you remember, this was a downwards pipe. And that specifically has to be the case. I needed to make sure that the player knows you can enter a downwards pipe without putting on the shell. Because you can, and people kind of seemed like they didn't know that, so you have to do it there, and then over here, now you know it's possible, so when this trolls you, it's not, yeah, it's actually a troll. Also, so this is another switch-based thing. So the way this works is that we have the seesaw behind the blue platform, and if these fire flowers are sitting on this side of the seesaw with nothing below them, and then these one-ups are on this side with ground below them. That's the setup where you can't go in the pipe. You actually can kind of go in the pipe, but it's jank, and if you just like stand on it and try to press down, it won't work. And you'll just put on the shell. So that's that. So the first time you'd put on the shellmet, this would switch. Well, it would switch when this blows up, because entity limit. Like, I have to set it so that when this bomb is gone, the entity limit is empty, so then it does that. And that destroys the fire flowers with the switch block, and then you can just go in the pipe and just, you know, get out of here. Cool. Nice empty room. Me, I didn't have ideas to put anything there, and I'm sure everyone's glad there aren't trolls there, right? But then, if you kept holding the shellmet, right, like, you actually just carry it, I might be able to put one here and have it work, maybe. I don't know about that. No, I can't, it's wrong. Yeah, that's dumb, of course. But if you're holding the shellmet, then it won't have switched, and then you'll stand on here, put this on, and then we have a bit of a problem, right? If it was just this, we'd have a bit of a problem, because you'd put on the shellmet, entity limit is free, this thing flies up, hits the, ignore the setup, we're getting to that, hits the switch, these get destroyed, and then you go in the pipe, because now it's available. And you're like, oh, well, that sucks, right? So bad. So I had to make sure that if you jumped all the way, so if you were standing here with the shellmet, I needed to make this setup not work. And that's what this beetle is for. So when you jump up, beetle will fall and kill the bomb. And that means that it'll never activate the switch and never open up the pipe. Unless you go to the one place where you need to go to die, which is here. You'll collect those 3 1-ups, which are the only thing relevant to holding down the seesaw. It'll lift up, and then you can go in the pipe, or you can die to the spike if you walked all the way in. But either way, you should, seeing the seesaw because of that, should show you that, like, oh, that was blocking the pipe. That means that if I collect these 1-ups, which also have sound effects on them to draw attention to them, that lets you through, which actually, honestly, kind of surprisingly, this it worked. Even though a lot of people held the shell the first time, it worked, and they figured out how to get past this, which is very cool. I like having level design where it's like you actually figure out yourself how to get through. Like, oh, seesaw blocks it, these things, let the seesaw go, do that, and go in the pipe, and it's safe. Alright, moving on. Yeah, as I said, empty space. I kind of ran out of stuff to put here. I just put like a shiny, and it's like, because the one ways sort of hide behind those, and then you hit this, and there's a 1-up, and you can't get it. Epic troll. And then I also had to put just a burner here to anti-soft lock that. You could tell that I didn't really care much for entities. You know, it's fine. We have one of these setups, of course, over here. But first, this thing. So, I've shown you this setup with the cannon in the block like twice before now. You know what it means. But this one's different because it has a spring behind it, and it epic trolls you. So, in older versions of the level, I had the spring just like bounce off a note block from down here up into it. But then the spring was just kind of visible at the bottom of the cannon, and somehow I didn't notice at first, and then I decided to leave it because other people weren't noticing, and then people started noticing, and I you know, I changed it to this, which has this random track and note block on the right, but it's a pretty neat setup. What's happening, it's so fast you can barely see what's happening. It's that, so this burner pushes the launcher to the left, then this note block pushes the launcher all the way to the left, because the burner can't overlap it with anything, but a note block can, and it'll line up. We need this solid block for that spring to push into. Then this spike ball swings to the right and breaks that block after this has happened. And then I have this small spike ball which exists to run into the big one and break both. So, and it just happens super fast, and it's nice. So then we get over here, and this is fun. So, yeah, if you didn't know, this wants to stack in the bomb, but you can just kind of place it there in the unstacked. Slightly annoying to do, but it's handy. So remember how the last time we had this, we died to a burner and that was cool, right? Yeah, I remember. Okay. So remember how the last time we had one of these setups with the block, we also had a slope below it and a bomb off screen to blow it up, right? Now it goes the shell because it's lower on this slope. That's the troll. Yeah, that's the thing. Very fun. And also, gotta undo a bit. Remember that thwomp has a switch block behind it. So if you were to throw the shell up into this, then immediately put it on before here, this time it actually kills the thwomp, so you can't see that you need it at first. And then if you hold it, it'll blow up the way and destroy your shell. Epic double use of everything. In the pipe. In the pipe. So you here, throw this, you throw your shell, you break that. Cool. Hidden block, you needed to wear it. And this is one of my favorite twice setups that I've built, because there's not even like this time it doesn't even use switch state, because if the shell is still spinning in this hole, the entity limit is full and the spring won't spawn. If you're wearing it, spring spawns, get trolled. And I have this note block here just to make it... It makes it kind of annoying to actually get the checkpoint, but it makes it really consistent to get trolled by the spring, which is, I guess, higher priority to me. Because, you know. And also, here's some fun up here. So these are just some random piranha plants and a spike ball, which the first time it just serves to fill up the entity limit. But the next time you come in here, if you respawn, it does that. When you respawn at the checkpoint, that's because the only reason all of that happens is because if you were to come down here, it would be a soft lock if it wasn't for the fireball from that. So that's like just overcomplicated anti-soft lock prevention. Then, because you come into here with a shellmet, the way to get rid of that, just give shellmet, you know? And then I have this epic thing. The donut hidden under there is kind of obvious. I expected people to find it and then go down here and then kill that and then come over here and be like, oh no, I didn't want to wear the shellmet. And then, you know what happens. You know the level. This is literally just that. That Goomba just hides the bomb. It's just a switch block that blows up this, dropping the coin, hits that, and the launcher kind of clips through the ground a bit and flies over here. Very cool. It was actually a little unintended that this would be a checkpoint twice, but once I realized that this was setting it to blue state, and this thing would only go off if it started in red state, and otherwise it would just do nothing, I was like, yeah, let's make that a checkpoint twice. And since there's nothing really in between there, it works, especially since you get past here twice. So like the kind of thing that happens is you get hit by the spring, you come over here, you go down the donut, you get trolled by this, right? And you come back, get the checkpoint. This time it's still coming in blue state. You actually go past this troll, go past this, and move on. And then the next time when you respawn, you go past this and then get, yeah. So it's kind of fun that it's like after a troll for a checkpoint twice, but people have done a lot more than that. And up here we have the setup. This spike ball just hits a switch, and I have the big spike ball. This is what lets you out. It's just there's a launcher there, you know. Very advanced setup here. If that's here, just yeah, the spike ball dies before the cannon. Very advanced setup there. So it literally just loads in at the same time as the switch hitter and comes down, and that's like, well, there's actually kind of two reasons. The ice blocks are here. It kind of hides this ice coin because they blend in with the other ice blocks, and this one lets you out. Then we have another setup. This is just frozen coin, pow. The beetle walks forward and then it gets melted and it's hidden. And it's not hidden. You can totally see it. But most people didn't see it, so that's good. I don't know if anyone saw it, actually. Here's like a dumb bad troll. So the reason this troll exists, despite being dumb and bad, literally just to have like an excuse for the POW and platform thing to exist, to have the beetle hidden under it. Like that's all I was doing there. And also it kind of gets rid of everything, because like at this point you can pick up the beetle, you can take the POW, all kinds of stuff. But then since you have to bring the POW up here and throw it at the muncher, you could get the beetle pass, but it would be pretty difficult. And then you have to spin jump on the immediate next troll, so even then you probably won't be bringing that beetle. Like, in theory you could, but it would be pretty difficult. Also, this setup's slightly interesting just because this guy exists. That's to make sure all of this loads in at the same time. Because the concern with this thwomp bomb setup is nice, but the thing is, if you load in from the side, it might like spawn the bomb before the thwomp, and the bomb walks over here, and then the thwomp spawns, and then, you know, it just won't blow up. Cool. That's also why this one is stacked on a cannon. Well, more reasons. So this is the troll where you spin jump to try to jump bounce on this, but instead you land on that block, it immediately blows up, and then you fall in here not spinning and get trolled. Kind of a fun setup. We got the big thwomp, which goes into the bomb, blowing up that. Also this, which kills the thwomp. Also this, which drops the cannon on the other bomb to blow up the way here. And this spiny spawns in a block up, which is literally just so I could put music effects down there without that, because like, yeah, you can't place them over an enemy, which is awful, and the game sucks. Oh yeah, this thing. That's a pretty fun. A lot of people dodged this troll, which is unfortunate. I've changed the setup a couple times, like a little bit, and this used to be, where was it? It was right before CP1. And you didn't have a mushroom, and like, since this troll wasn't supposed to be here originally, I just had, like, and you had a mushroom, and you needed a mushroom after it. I just was like, whatever, just extra mushrooms, you know, just, yeah. And the other thing about this troll was that the reason I built it in the first place was for the CCC collab, which that was a collab that existed. I have, like, in the final level, there's like one troll that I made. There's like the pick-a-path with the coin and the thing. Yeah, that was all I made in the entire level. Okay. But also I made this, and then this didn't fit, and Shade Kitty was like, oh, that doesn't fit. I'll make a crappy version and put it in. And I'm like, no, this one's good. This one's good. This one's cool, right? Because it like bounces and then it goes over there. And it's cool. But then it ended up having both one in that level and this. So that's good. Fun times. This thing, another setup where you can see everything. The setups are very simple in this level. So this is just, the only thing hidden is this bomb off screen that blows up that, so that like when you up throw this into the cannon, into the launcher, it'll hit that. The weird thing that happens here, because every section has to have a weird thing, that's not even how you set. People would like stand here in some exact position where it won't break on the wall, because if you throw up and it hits the wall, it blows up. It didn't hit this, and they just threw it straight into the cannon, and I don't even know how people managed to do that, but that's what happened. Awesome. So yeah, the trolls here are supposed to be, you throw it up into the block pushes you in the hole. You stand on the block, throw it up to try and lift this launcher to hit that switch, and then it bounces over. Yeah, you've seen the level, I assume. So if you haven't seen the level, go watch some playthroughs of it, because they're pretty fun. This room definitely exists. So that right above here is like the super complex setup where a spike ball breaks a block, and then another spike ball hits a switch when you scroll the screen back in from over here. This troll was, well, it didn't work very well Like, this is all based around the one troll that no one falls for. So the idea was, obviously, you come in maybe holding a POW, and then you have to get rid of the POW. So we have like an anti-POW machine, right? The anti-POW machine is definitely for the POW. And then you come over here, and there's like a Kaizo block. And you know, what's weird is that originally this room was shaped a bit differently. You didn't have as much space, so everyone would just kind of get Kaizo blocked. But then I added more space, and people either jump from farther back and just make it up there without hitting the block, or they still get blocked. Which is weird, because I kind of expected people to check for a Kaizo and find it, but whatever. I mean, if you get trolled, works for me. So then you get this feather. I put spikes and hidden blocks. You couldn't do anything else. You have to just hold right and run. Then the fish spawn out of these note blocks. This is the tech where an enemy coming out of a note block, like, as a certain time after it spawns, it doesn't have a hitbox, it can't kill you. So instead you just bounce off it, which, since you've been running on this conveyor, it makes you fly. And then if you're holding right the whole time, which people didn't do because it takes a long time to happen, it takes a really long time to happen, that you do the dive bomb, which kills this muncher, and then you get trolled. So I think the reason this didn't work, I know, is just because there's a long delay between starting flying and dive bombing into the ground, and you have to be actually holding right the entire time, which makes it bad. This box does literally, it has no purpose other than to fill space. I don't even know why I put it there. But like, unfortunate, no one really fell for that. I just wanted to try it, you know, just like, I don't think anyone's done the troll where you accidentally cape fly and then ground pound. You know, you have to try it, right? And you come back over here. You come over here, you do that. And if you notice, it's kind of hard to hit this top block. You can't even really do it with the spin. You have to do it from below, and then it's wrong. And then it blows up that bomb. And that will always, of course, always blow up before this one blows up. If you hit this block first, which is fun. Also, another unintentional non-troll. If you stand, the spikes are there to take away both power-ups, but because of the way it's set up, you might be encouraged to just kind of stand here and try to wait for the bomb, and then you die, because that's a bad thing to do. Don't do that. This thing is very, I like this a lot. Like, this is just stupid. This is just like, oh yeah, you're gonna think it turns into blocks and you walk across, epic troll. Like, obviously no one was supposed to fall for this. It's just here for the joke, and I'm glad that that's funny to people for some reason. So then, right, you hit the P-switch and you need a way to get you out. Vine, obviously. So that released the spike ball. It's fine, but I also wanted to drop something to kill you, right? Here's some fish. So what's weird about this is that the vine block has to be up here. It has to get hit from the side. Well, it doesn't have to, but it's easier to hit from the side, but then I have to have a block above it for the vine to go down. But then if there's a block above it, I have to have it up. It's up at the top, right? But then I also wanted this spike ball to hit those fish so that it has more of a delay. So that rolls all the way over here. So it hits this note block, goes over these. That's why these are question blocks. And it lands like right here in the little bounce. It hits both blocks, and they fall on your head. You know, so these things, they kind of get loaded onto this switch block. And then when the switch flips, that's what falls. The P-switch exists to because it's sitting on the spring, it'll push you down, and that's what pushes you in the hole. This box, a surprising number of people dodged this troll. I guess they were scared of the back of the flagpole, which you should be, because it does that. So, I mean, they were right to hold left after going off that edge. Here's what triggers the switch. Yeah, so the blue platform makes the spike ball not be loaded until you actually go up there, which is really, that's a weird thing. What's behind the goal? Let's see, there's this monster. That just exists for music. And back here is this. It's just the setup with 2 note blocks, there's a semi-solid behind them. Cool. Alright, that's... well, there's the entire level. But I'm not done, of course, because I have this. Now this is the level, it's not V1, but it's the earlier version of things. It's the earlier version of this section is what I was specifically saving. So, yeah, these, did I ever say what these springs are for? They're just to fill, they fill a sprite limit, and they also despawn at the exact time when these things spawn. That's what those do. Okay, so this was the old version. Now, the old version of this was pretty interesting. So it was actually a twice on here. So like the first time you come in, you're wearing this helmet, you just have to damage boost through, and then you get to this. Oh yeah, and look, there's the indicator being the other way. You come over here, and then there was a vine up. You could throw the shell up to get up here, and then do that. First time you just, next time you come in, you're holding the shell, right? And then what you have to do is, where's Spiny? That's not what I want to have happen. Those things should come down. Stupid. So imagine the POWs are there. Right, so what you have to do is that. And then, so I expected that people would know to do that, to jump and drop the shell to kill that. No one understood that. No one, not a single person. Nobody. I had to tell all of them while they were playing, so that sucks. But then the actual troll would be that you drop down, and now you're holding a POW and you die to it. Epic. Then you see Z is written here, which it wasn't originally, but it had to be because, well, yeah. So it's like, okay, we drop that down. Well, I need to not grab those POWs, so I'll just do this. Cool. And you pick up the shell. And that slope troll it's in the final version, in the new one, but obviously set up differently. I think the slope troll isn't as cool as it is here, but obviously since no one understands how to drop shells or that it would even help, I guess. I don't know, that just didn't work. And also, because this is set up a bit differently, you would have, in order to protect, like, oh yeah, the fire flower is also a bit tougher to collect. You have to, like, get it, and then you would pretty much, like, you could dodge it, but you would usually get it, so you would have to find a safe place to put the shell, which was down, just all the way down here, which kind of sucks, because then you'd have to bring it, like, throw it and bring it all the way back up. It was all a bad time. At least I had the mushroom there before getting rid of the bad section. That's cool. Is there anything else significantly different in this? Let's see. Oh yeah, and here's this troll being placed here. It doesn't really make much of a difference, does it? Oh yeah, and the launcher troll wasn't there. Cool. I think if this was like V1, I would know there's more changes. Oh yeah, this thing is set up slightly differently. There's a bit less space to jump up here, which was trying to make that easier, even though it doesn't actually affect the way that you get past it. Okay, we already had that in place. Whatever, cool. Alright, so that, yep, that's the level. And you can't play it unless you specifically come to me and I upload it, because, yeah, fun times. Great, very good.